US photojournalist Anthony Karen has documented some of the most feared and secretive pockets of US society. His latest work is with the Ku Klux Klan.
Anthony Karen gained access to the Louisiana-based KKK by striking up a relationship of trust. And here are his photos. In return, he was granted unlimited insight into everyday life, from weddings to home life and the controversial initiation ceremonies. These are scenes rarely seen by the public.
And has copped some criticism for apparently humanising an organisation that many feel ought to be demonised instead. To talk us through these photos and to share his own experiences, we are joined by former KKK leader Johnny Lee Clary. He's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Johnny Lee, welcome. Of course, you've gone from being a, I can't remember, was it a dragon or a wizard in the KKK, to being a pastor who preaches tolerance and respect for all people. But you were part of the hooded order for 16 years. Do you think these photos depict what life is really like in KKK circles?
Yes, it does depict what it's like today. When you take a look at it, you know, if you look at those photos, you can plainly see that most of the Klan photos come from the low economic side of things, from the lower class of society. These people don't have anything to their name. You see the shacks that they're living in. You see the type of the way that they're dressed, the way that they appear with the tattoos all over themselves. And one guy is even shooting off his gun inside the house, shooting at a cockroach, putting his wife and child in danger of a ricocheting bullet. And this is the kind of mentality that this organization is offering people today, and it's very sad because they're a very radical fringe group.
So would you think that's indicative of the majority of the KKK membership, that they are disenfranchised people?
Right, because you see, whenever someone's hurting financially and they don't have a job, the Ku Klux Klan is notorious going to these people and building them up and making them think that that they're going to do something for them. And they're recruiting a lot of the youth and a lot of the younger people who don't have friends, they don't have a penny to their name, and then they start building them up. And if you notice on those photos, you see a lot of stripes on their sleeves and different colors on their robes and patches, is because they may not be anything in school or in social circles around normal people, but when they join the Ku Klux Klan, all those stripes that they signify rank, and they begin to pump the people up and make them feel like they're somebody.
And Johnny Lee, in fact, what you're describing is pretty much exactly what happened to you, isn't it? You joined the KKK at 14 as quite a vulnerable teenager.
Yes, I was a kid. I'd had a tragic, I went through tragedy. My father had shot himself, and my mother sent me away to go live in the ghettos of East LA. And there I was as a kid that didn't have a penny to his name, and I was being bullied and beaten by other kids. And then the KKK comes along and said, you need a family, and if you come join us, we're going to teach you how to fight, we're going to protect you, and you'll be part of our family. And so that's why I made the wrong choice to join that. But thank God Almighty, I got out of it after 16 years. I just wished I would have got out of it a lot sooner than what I did.
What do you think of these photos then? You know, some people would say that this is giving airtime to an organisation that shouldn't be given any airtime. What do you think of the photos?
Well, from looking at the photos, you know, normally I would agree with that, except now I'm kind of glad that people have a chance to see these photos, because now they realize that the type of class of people who's joining these organizations. Now, you got a guy like David Duke that was very popular here in Louisiana, and he ran for governor 20 years ago, and he almost became governor. And he wore a suit and a tie, very intelligent, and a lot of people thought that's what the Klan offered. But today, you look at these pictures, and it's departed. David Duke doesn't even have any power anymore in Louisiana. Nobody wants to elect him to anything. And here in Louisiana, they're a small fringe group. Most Louisianans would reject the message of the Klan. But the problem is that you get a group of these people who are basically considered losers in society, and here they are out there causing all kinds of problems, and they can be very dangerous. They're the type of people that'll go out and blow something up or hurt somebody, and this is why people need to be concerned.
Or burn a church down, as you did in your own case when you were on the wrong side of that particular debate, Johnny Lee. We have to leave it there, sadly. But yours is a fascinating story in itself, and I do encourage people to find out more about that.
Let me just say real quick, I personally didn't burn a church down, but I was involved with people. But let me say this: people need to be concerned, and you know, the message against hate needs to be out there. And unfortunately, the modern churches today are more concerned with entertainment than they are preaching against hate. And people need to speak against hate and change people's hearts. Jesus Christ changed my life, and that's what the churches need to preach today: is the message of the Bible and not the messages of entertainment.
Well, the story of how you were won over by love and forgiveness at the hands of the Reverend Wade Watts is a beautiful, not only a beautiful story, but charming, and it's a great example of how you know, how love can prevail over hatred.
And he was just extraordinary, wasn't he? Can you just tell us what he did with you when he shook your hand?
Yes, when he shook my hand, I shook his hand, and I jerked my hand back, and I started looking at my hand, and he said, "Don't worry, it won't come off." And I started calling him names, and he smiled, and he goes, "God bless you." And he said, "Johnny, you can't do enough to me to make me hate you." He goes, "I'm going to love you, and I'm going to pray for you whether you like it or not." And that's what the churches need to do today. And everybody, not just the churches, but people need to reach out to people with love. And if I can change, there's hope for these people out there that's joining the groups like the Klan and the Nazi Party. I believe they can change too, but we've got to be able to reach out and speak out against this. And I love how Reverend Watts did things, and that's how I try to operate in my ministry today all over the world, is use love to change people.
Well, you've got to get people to focus on the true sources of their discontent, I guess, to get people to realise where the sources of their content may be. And you know, certainly, you know, racism, as with any kind of phobia, is the wrong source when you're looking at discontent. But anyway, Johnny, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
I understand more than other people do.
Yeah.
As you
do. Thank you so much. If anybody has questions, reach me on Facebook or preachthecross.net.
Good on you, Johnny. Cheers.
What a turnaround that you have had, and now preaching against racism and hate. Thank you.
My favourite story was when he was in the KKK, and you know, he'd met the Reverend Watts, and he was so affronted by Watts's reaching out to him. He went to his house, dressed in his KKK uniform with a bunch of guys, said, "Come on out here, you know, we've got something for you." And the Reverend came out and said, "Fellas, Halloween's not till October. I haven't got any treats for you." So they came back the next night and they burned a cross on his lawn. And he said, "Well, the Reverend came out again and said, 'Come to think of it, I do have something. You might want some marshmallows for your barbecue.'" And no matter what they said to him, he wouldn't take it.
He was so disarming and obviously instrumental in changing his turnaround. God, don't we need more Reverend Watts?
How about it? Yeah.